My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for staying with us on Prime Morning. We go beyond the headlines, or should I say beyond the football. Now, this morning, it's going to be a sharp focus that we place on Black Stars coach Milovan Rajevac, his second term as Black Stars coach, all the way from 2010 till 2021. It's been about 10, 11 years. His record since he left the Black Stars has been checkered at best, and here we are. He's going to head our team. Today, supposedly, he's going to be unveiled with Otto Addo from Borussia Dortmund and Maxwell Konedu, who has headed Asante Kotoko, as his assistant coaches. But what are the dynamics? Are they even going to be able to gel? We still await, Milovan himself passing the final test and being confirmed. But what does this bode for the Black Stars moving forward? We'll also sneak in a bit about the Black Queens, who have also been in the mix for not so good reasons in recent days. But joining us for the conversation, we have Nana Kweku Agyemang. He is a UEFA License B coach, and I'm not talking about CAF and some of them. This is UEFA License B coach. He is a sports analyst, and one thing I love about him, he frees his mind. No holds barred. Nana, thank you for joining the conversation this morning. You would have to unmute, Nana, so we can join you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Good morning, Benjamin, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Great. And I must say a very big thank you once more for joining us on such short notice. We'll also be joined along the way by Osei Owusu-Bempah, who also is a sports journalist and analyst. He'll be sharing his thoughts. Another one who doesn't, hold a brief for anybody. But Nana Kweku, let me start with you right from here. A lot of people have been talking about local coach, foreign coach. The other day, I had Felix Abuaje, ex-Black Stars player, who joined me in the studio, and he was saying, well, foreign coach at this point, yeah, but we should groom the local coaches, do the right thing. With the placement of Otto Addo as the first deputy, do you think that is sort of a futuristic plan to ensure that after Milo, we have some sort of succession to another local coach?
No, I'm not sure that that's the plan at all, because I don't even see that Coach Otto Addo should be the first assistant coach, because he's not going to be here.
You don't think he should be the first assistant coach?
If he is, he shouldn't be. He's not going to be in Ghana. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He is sticking to his coaching job in the Bundesliga. And he's made no qualms about the fact that he's not going to give that up to take up an assistant coaching position. He's not going to be in Ghana. He's only going to come to Ghana when we have assignments, just like Milo probably will. Yeah, so in terms of grooming coaches for later on, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I've watched Milo, I've observed Milo, and I've observed the coaches that have been his assistants. And one of my biggest qualms against Kwesi Appiah and Maxwell Konedu was that they didn't seem to learn, they didn't seem to develop, they didn't seem to improve, they didn't seem to grow under him. Now, Of course, there were great experiences that they took from that. But when I say this, I refer to the fact that none of them went abroad to go and take the UEFA license coaching course. None of them. They stayed here instead and toyed around the CAF A license and the CAF Pro license, which really doesn't equip them.
Are you suggesting, right before you go on, that it is difficult to thrive under Milovan Rajevac owing to certain circumstances? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, not at all. We're talking about the development of our coaches. And I'm saying that if we're really serious about the development of our coaches, those coaches must go and take the UEFA license coaching licenses. That's what I believe they should do. That's what Milo has done, and that's why he's the coach of the Ghana Black Stars right now. I didn't see self-improvement, self-development. There was no desire, no aspiration to go any further, because one was already the assistant coach of the Ghana Black Stars. And we saw what happened when we turned the reins over anyway after Milo walked. One wasn't able to do it. So I don't see this as somehow a stepping stone to getting our coaches more and further enlightened, because It's just another assistant coaching job. His main focus is the Bundesliga. The person who will be focusing on Ghana and hopefully Ghana players will be Maxwell Canadian. But we've seen them do it all before, and nothing has come out of it. We've seen Maxwell Canadian in this position before. We've seen Kwesi in this position before. Nothing has come out of it. They've gone for Milo. Well, that's up to them. My issue is, have the targets changed? Because if you expect Milo to win the African Cup of Nations and still to get us into the semi-finals of the World Cup, and you're only paying him $30,000, and he's on.
We've heard everything between 30 and 45,000 anyway.
Oh, come on! Look, the man's hungry. The man's done nothing.
Milovan is hungry.
Away. No coach who can do anything substantial for us will take $30,000 or even $40,000 as a salary. No coach who's worth their salt. None. Trust me. A national team, no way. I said on your platform before that, look, if we're really serious about winning the African Cup of Nations, if we're really serious about aspiring to get to the semi-finals of the World Cup, then you need to find a coach who you will be paying a minimum of $100,000 US. Nothing more, nothing less. Perhaps,
wow.
Let me take that back. Perhaps a little bit more, but certainly nothing less. The fact that you've got a coach now who you can pay within your shoestring budget, 30 or 40,000 US dollars, have the targets changed? Are you still expecting him to win the African Cup of Nations for the first time in 40 years? Are you still expecting him and his technical team to qualify to the semi-finals of the World Cup?
Right.
I don't think so. I think the targets must have changed.
All right. Nana, hold your horses right there, because you've made some very interesting assertions this morning. Let me bring in Osei Bempa, your colleague, your counterpart. Mr. Bempa, very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Mr. Bempa, can you please unmute? If you could just unmute for me, please.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Great having you join the conversation. I'm sure you've overheard Nana Kwaku Agyeman actually say a short while ago that we're on a shoestring budget, and of course we know government facilitates the payment of our coaches, not the GFA itself. We're on a shoestring budget, and that Milovan is just a stopgap measure. Basically, he's here because he's hungry and he's here to make some money, whether $30,000, $40,000 or $45,000. And he has made the assertion that we need a coach who is taking nothing less than about $100,000 or more if we really want to qualify to at least the semi-finals of the Mundial in Qatar in 2022 and maybe even win the gong in Africa. Do you agree with that? Because that is why we're told we couldn't even get the likes of Hervé Renard, who has won 2 African titles. Do you agree?
To a very large extent, I disagree. Well, the fact that a coach is paid billions does not guarantee you success. Remember, in football, a coach is important but not decisive. Milo was largely successful in his first tour of Ghana, the late 2010s, because among others, he had quality players to work with. If you look at the kind of materials that was at his disposal in 2008, of course, in 2010, especially for the World Cup, obviously, it was a matter of course that he did what he did with the team. Currently, the team is lacking quality in terms of players, and therefore, I don't believe that it's necessarily the amount of money that is paid a coach that will certainly guarantee or get us closer to winning anything. I don't think that it's about the money. It's about other factors. Remember, in 2010, the FA was more stronger, more supportive than it is right now. The nation was not basically divided on the issue of the Black Stars. Almost everybody was solidly behind the Black Stars at the time. And so the factors that worked for Milo in his first tour were so many. And is the reason why he was successful. I don't think it's necessarily the amount of money that we pay a coach that will guarantee you success.
Now, looking at 46-year-old Otto Addo, who was capped 15 times for the national team, then quickly, sometime around 2008, fed seamlessly into a coaching career, and he's been at it, head of talent hunting at Borussia Dortmund. Any surprises that he gets the nod, and as some have speculated, is going to be the first assistant coach, especially considering that we're being told he's going to, be in Germany still, and when international breaks come through, usually which is when the teams are not playing, that is when he's going to maybe be able to come down and all of that. Looking at the sort of arrangement, Nana Agyemang has said, well, not exactly the sort of arrangement we need. We need someone who is hands-on. Do you agree?
To a very large extent, yes. The fact that he's a very young coach, hasn't had so much direct coaching experience, means that if you are picking somebody who hasn't had stint with the team for a long time, you need somebody who has had some serious practical experience managing players and developing tactics and techniques for games. I think if you look at his CV, the two I'm talking about, largely he's been more of the psychological and the social part of football rather than the technical and the tactical part of the game. And it's the reason why I get a bit more. The issue regarding his stay in Germany doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, when was the last time Ghana appointed a foreign coach who was basically largely domiciled in Ghana? We saw Abraham Grant. 99% of the time, he was out of Ghana. It gives you an idea that whoever these coaches are probably will not even consider any of the local coaches, the local players. Because if they were going to consider local players, probably they will stay in Ghana. Remember when Lukaziz came in the 90s? He largely lived in Ghana, moved from every league center to league center, coach center to coach center, picking players left, right, and center. So the fact that the assistant coach, for example, is going to be domiciled in Germany means that obviously they are going to deal largely with players who are foreigners. And that's where the problem is. Currently, the quality is not even there. And so to a very large extent, I agree with Nana that we needed a coach probably who had more hands-on experience. Unless maybe the FA is telling us that they need the assistance for reasons other than pure football reasons. Probably they think that the coach himself alone probably will be able to do the technical aspect of the game, of the team's game, and then maybe they need O2 for one reason or another, other than direct kicking of football and development of tactics and strategies.
Okay. So before we come to Maxwell Konadu, who is our other assistant coach, let me just let you know you can contribute to the discussion we're having. 0551 575757 0551 575757. If we activate the phone lines, hopefully along the line, maybe getting to the tail end, you can actually call 0302 211-693 extension 4. Not now, don't call yet. 0302-211-693 extension 4. But let me come to you, Nana Agyemang. So we've spoken a bit about Otto Addo and how he fits into the entire setup, though he's going to be a distant coach, if you like. Let's talk now about Maxwell Konadu. Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Legon Cities, from what I hear. And he has actually been in this role deputizing as far as managing the Black Stars is concerned. He's not getting the nod to head the team. He's still going to be an assistant coach. When you look at him, what he's contributed in the past, how much of an apt choice is he as of this moment? Nana Agyemang.
Well, let me say first of all, he didn't get the nod because he didn't have the confidence to apply.
He didn't have the confidence to apply. That's why he didn't get the nod.
He didn't get the nod. You've got to apply. If you don't buy the lottery ticket, you can't expect to win, can you? So him being in the position before for several years, gaining all that experience, and as you say, Asante Kotoko and Legon Cities, you seem to think that this also adds some value to the chap. It doesn't, because at the end of the day, he's prepared to go back into a position that he was before. And what will he do? When he was in that position before, were the local players represented? Was there local content to the team? No, there wasn't. It was fixated on whatever the foreign coach wanted to do. And despite the fact that some of our journalists were talking it up, oh, he's gone to watch this match, he's gone to watch that match. At the end of the day, when it came down to final selections, the only local players we really had in the Ghana Black Stars were goalkeepers. That was it. So I don't see much change, to be honest with you. I think it's just business as usual. My colleague has said he doesn't think it's about money, but I know that our system here in Ghana is not working because salaries don't provide an incentive for people to work. It's the 30,000 or 40,000 is okay for Milo because, it gets him back on the slate. He's earning something. But as I say to you before, for all the technical teams, what is the target now? This is what I would like the GFA to tell us. What's the target? Because the last coach we had there, his target was to win the AFCON and to qualify for the semi-final of the World Cup. And we all know he was on 25,000. I don't know if he actually got paid his salary. There's so many different talk about being owed this and that, but I just don't know. But for me, the fact of the matter is, this has got to be the lowest ebb for the GFA right now in terms of Kurt Krakel's administration.
Right.
We've had a committee that have had 3 days to find someone to be the Black Star coach. They've taken even longer than that. And what they've come up with is like a regurgitated, older Milovan Rajevac who they think will do the job for us. I don't think it's a game changer at all. Irrespective of whether Maxwell there or Otto is there, I don't think this changes any game at all.
Right. So that's quite an interesting perspective. In other words, you don't see anything changing with the Black Stars moving forward, even as we go to that double header with Zimbabwe. Is that what you're saying? Just for clarity.
Well, no, I don't. And I don't think we should place premium on whether we qualify for the World Cup or not. I think my brother has talked about the quality of players that we have to hand. And I know Milovan is a good organizer. That much I'll give it to him.
Right. Unfortunately, technical challenges there with...
Where they were very aware of what their role was.
Go ahead, Nana.
I'm saying that Milo is very good in organizing. He was very good in organizing the players that we had there at the time so that they knew exactly what their role was, dependent on the different spaces they occupied on the field of play. He'll try that again this time, I'm sure. But, I mean, we were on a one-goal project then before. It's going to be a one-goal project now. And who is the person who's going to score the goals? I think if for me, the trademark of Milo this time round will be putting the players in the right positions, because you can't just come and still call up a striker who isn't scoring and put him on the top of your attack and expect him to score. You can't put players in positions where they can't deliver domestically and expect them to deliver nationally.
Right.
I think that we have players who people have touted as key players who should actually sit on the bench so that this man could bring into effect a new crop of players, a total new crop of players. And if we do need the other players on the bench who do have that experience, I'm not taking that away from them, they are probably the players, so some of them are probably the players who could come in a game surrounded by new players and direct traffic and help us to get the victories we need, but not as starters because they're not in any form at all.
Okay, so I'll say, let's put this into perspective, some of what Nana Akufo-Addo has been saying. He's spoken about the fact that Maxwell Konadu didn't have, what it took in terms of confidence to put in an application, and that is why he didn't get the job. And it may also be about confidence levels. But I want us to look at it beyond the politics of a football setting. And money matters. You have said that how much we are paying the person doesn't necessarily determine how much they can produce. But it is clear that we could not get the likes of Hervé Renard, who took Zambia and the Ivory Coast to the African Championship, to the finals, and actually won the gong because of money. Saudi Arabia is offering him $100,000 a month. But putting that into perspective, we've been told about some $25 million supposedly for the Black Stars to go and win the African Championship. We've been told, I saw a list recently, I don't know how kosher that is, about countries, football teams and their winning bonuses, okay? And you would see the countries at the very top of the FIFA ranking just giving paltry sums to their players, while we here are giving thousands and thousands of dollars to our players. Do you think that maybe we shouldn't be setting aside some of what we are giving to the players, get them more patriotic, and be able to feed that into training our coaches, for example, making them up to scratch in terms of delivering for our national teams. What do you make of that?
You are right. I just want to go back a little bit. A couple of years ago, some comments made by Nana Jemai regarding training of coaches. And I think it's still relevant now. Remember when Kwesi Appiah was first sacked as a Black Stars coach? What did he do? He went to Sudan, no further professional development, came back after a year or two and was reappointed. Look at CK Akono, for instance. He was sacked at House of Oak, at Ash Gold, and then sacked at Kotoko. In between the time, he never had any personal professional development. And then all the FA thought was that, well, maybe Kotoko, he was earning about $3,000. Let's give him 25, he'll be able to keep it. The fact that he didn't have further development, he has not upgraded his skills, meant that even if you gave him $1 million a month, he couldn't perform differently from what he did right now. And that's why I was expecting that when the president made available, announced the $25 million incentive package for the Blaster, probably they could have sat back and said, well, we probably don't have a team. If we really want to get some of these local coaches to be able to handle our national team, then I think it's important that we give them some form of development, professional development, career development. Let them build their confidence. Nana just said it's right, that Masoro Kunedu did not apply because he didn't have the confidence to. I don't remember the last time a Ghanaian coach was appointed a head coach of the Black Stars based on interview and appointment, competitive appointment. Many times you hear, especially with the current situation that we have, we hear the president, His Excellency the President Nana kept saying that he preferred a local coach. So regardless how bad this local coach is, of course, he's the one who is going to inherit the $25,000 or whatever it is. And therefore, there's a reason I said that necessarily it's not about the money. Let's take Harvey Renard that you talk about. In Zambia, he had less than he had in Cote d'Ivoire. He won for Zambia, he won for Cote d'Ivoire. When he went to Morocco, when he had almost twice what he had in Zambia, he couldn't deliver. So I always believe that it's not necessarily the amount of money that the coach is paid. I think it's the technical, professional development, the self-confidence of the coach that normally determines how successful they are. And I still want to go back to what Nana Jemai said about 5 years ago, that the coaches need to develop themselves. You see coaches undergo CAF license A programs, 3-4 weeks, and then they are done. UEFA license B even takes about 6 months. License A and Pro takes about a year or two. And so you get these coaches come with badges around their necks, and you think that they are good enough to handle our Blasters. No, they are not. And it's the reason why coaches like Milo and Co will continue to reverberate in people's mind and be brought back at such hour. When people talk about
so just to clarify there, you feel Milovan Rajevac is substandard when it comes, or surplus when it comes to our coaching requirements now, that adequately, if we had what it took, we wouldn't be going for Milovan, right?
I wouldn't say precisely so, but what I'm saying is that, remember in my earlier submission, I said that Milovan was largely successful in his first tour as a Black Stars coach because of the quality of players he had to deal with. Sule Muntari, Dede Ayew at his prime. This guy is 32 years now. 10 years ago, he was 22. We saw the game he played in South Africa during the World Cup. Samuel Jan, Mathieu Amwa, John Mensah, mention them. Do we have these qualities in the team anymore? No, we don't. And so he was largely successful because we had players. And my submission is always that coaches are important in teams, but they are not decisive. I mean, tell me which coach on earth had succeeded, for example, in Saudi Arabia. How many coaches have been able to get results with Lesotho, regardless how good they are? So you need quality players to deal with to be able to get you results. And that is what Milo was lucky to have. At the time, the FA was very powerful. The FA was very strong. We know some of the things that happened during the Nyan Techi's administration.
Is the FA any weaker now? Is the GFA any weaker now?
It's quite weaker right now, especially after announced exposé. The FA is quite weaker now. And then the support from the state is also not as much as it used to be. In 2000, I remember I arrived in Ghana after 8 years of surgery in the US in 2010, June. When I arrived at the Kotoka International Airport, I was shocked how many people were wearing Black Star shirts. Foreigners. On the flight from Atlanta to Accra, there were a lot of Americans who were wearing Ghanaian shirts, Black Star shirts. These days, how many people even wear Black Star shirts when the team is playing in Kumasi?
Right.
So these are some of the dynamics that worked for Milo at the time. Those dynamics are not there. The nation is quite divided among itself. The fact that politicians have taken projects for World Cup qualification and African Cup trophy winning to be a political party project, almost always invariably. The nation will be divided along down the middle, and that at any point in time, if you listen to the comments made by some MPP surrogates a couple of weeks ago, Daniel Glover and Hobson Adoye, I mean, if somebody does not belong to that party, how do you expect that person to support the party, to support the team and pray for the team? But these were not issues during the first term of Milo, and is the reason why I think that his appointment probably would make virtually no difference.
Right. Thank you very much. Now, I want to move on to Ousmane Seydou now, and I want to be very specific with what I'm going to hit you with, because you've been saying in recent times that CK Akono, for example, should have started with a junior team, that he should have started from somewhere, and that he shouldn't have just been thrust into that position as far as, you know, the Black Stars, the senior national team, is concerned. Now, before we get into players and what people have been saying, I want you to address that question. Why exactly do you feel he should have started from there? And if you feel he should have, the likes of Otto Addo and Maxwell Konedu, what is going to be the succession plan, do you think? Do they stand any chance, even after Milo has left, of taking over? If you feel he should have, the likes of Otto Addo and Maxwell Konedu, what's going to be the succession plan? Do they stand any chance, even after Milo has left, of taking over?
Hello?
If you feel he should have, So Coach Seydou, we're getting some feedback from your audio. I do not know whether you're maybe watching or using your television at the same time, but if you could just lower the volume on your television or mute it completely, it would greatly assist us. If you could just do that for us briefly. And for those of you joining the conversation, it's all about our senior national team, the Black Stars, moving forward, and what it looks like, especially as we're planning on unveiling Milovan Rajevac today, the Serbian coach, for a second take. Coach Seydou, can you hear me now? Ousmane Seydou.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Please go ahead now. Start over with the point you were making.
Well, the important thing we need to know is the fact that we, as a country, we need to have a structure and we need to have a developmental plan. We should stop managing our football like a spaghetti management where it is all about the survival of the fittest. Now, the most important thing is that if you can have the best coach, you can have the best system. If you do not have where you want to go, trust me, you're not going to get the result you want to get. Now, I totally disagree with the gentleman who just spoke, my senior brother, in terms of saying that we should develop our coaches before, the local coaches, before they are given Black Stars to coach. Look, trust me, we were in this country last season when we had white and black, I don't want to say white, foreign and local coaches. But at the end of the day, who won the league? It was a local coach who won the league, my colleague. Look, the fact is that it's more of perception. I strongly believe that we have what it takes to coach the Black Stars. I'm talking about the local coaches. Now, let me give you examples. If the local coaches are given the support that we give to the foreign coaches, trust me, local coaches would even do better. Let's go back to our histories. How many African caps do we have at the back of our net? Who are those who took those African caps for us? I'm not.
But you would admit the dynamics were very different then. I mean, for quite a while now, we've been going foreign coaches, and when you look at the delivery, some would say that the foreign coaches have done better for us in terms of getting into latter stages of tournaments and even winning trophies.
Yeah, I would not throw that away to the trash. I think you have a point. You've made a point. But the point I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't compare mangoes with oranges. Look at the kind of support these foreign coaches are given. They are given the liberty, the right to do what they want to do, and they are able to say no without any objection. But when it comes to our local coaches, look, let's be frank about this. when it comes to our local coaches, we as local coaches do not get that opportunity. Look, if you are talking about confidence, I can tell you with all confidence, as I sit here, I can coach Blasters and I'll coach it well when given the opportunity. It's not about confidence, but it's more about the structures we have and our perception. We need to go back and reorient ourselves. But most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, we need to have a plan. We need to have a strategic plan that we are working towards. We need to have something, so we need to put we need to put in place structures that will make us achieve our objective of, for instance, winning the African Cup or winning the World Cup or getting to the semis of the World Cup. I mean, we cannot live our lives like that as a football nation. So why, look, let me give you a typical example, and let me be frank with this. At where you work, for instance, if you are a presenter and then you want to leave the place and they want to interview somebody new, definitely if you have a very good relationship with them, you will be part of the interview panel, or you would have a role to play in recruiting a new person. Am I right?
Hello? You are.
So I'm asking you, the 3 men that were selected to get a coach for us, who is the technical person among them?
Good question.
Don't we have a technical directorate? What role are they playing? And to me, you can bring Jose Mourinho and nothing will happen because we do not have the structures. If I am a coach, I will not take a Black Star coach job. And I have been vindicated by a lot of people who were consulted and they said, no, I'm not ready for it because you're going to be set up to fail. And that is what it is. I know there will be issues after this interview, but I'm so passionate about this country and about football. Look, I know what the talent we have in this country. We just have to put them together and make a headway.
Okay.
We can win the World Cup if everything is okay.
Okay. Hold your horses right there. Let me bring in Nana Ajman once more, because I'm sure you'd have an interesting take on this. I mean, I've heard people say that former Atletico Madrid, midfield dynamo, Bernard Mensah, for example, who surprisingly, it was a shock resignation or move away from international football a few years ago because he cited some problems in the team and how some politics was playing out. People have said the likes of him, and he's now playing for Kayserispor in Turkey, he should be brought back into the team. Now, I pose that, I situate that from the context of the crop of players we have now. Going back to that question, do we have what it takes versus Milo Part 1, where he had all of these players? Do we have what it takes now to be able to even qualify for the World Cup in terms of players? Do we?
We do. The potential is there. There's no doubt about it. The potential is there. The challenges that we face is when we select players, we don't select players with a comprehensive selection criteria. I don't know what basis we use to select players. And this is a part of the problem. Back in 2008, 2010, or 2006, players selected themselves. They were automatically selected because the level of their quality, the level of their experience, and the fact that they delivered on the day. Sure, we didn't win any tournament or anything, but those players always gave out their best, and they're a shining example to other players who want to emulate them. As it stands right now, the potential is there, and the potential exists if we have a selection criteria. If we select people based on their current form and not on their name or somebody else's name, or I like this player, or he's managed by this, or he's managed by that agency. If we strictly apply a selection criteria, I believe it will turn up 99% of the best possible players that can play for Ghana. I've watched many of our Black Star matches, and in the last 5 years, let's say, I've never seen a Black Star squad that fully represents the best players that we could actually call to represent the Ghana Black Stars.
And why exactly is that, Nana Ajman? Why do you think that is? Does it boil down to the sort of politics that people keep talking about? I was just making mention of Bernard Mensah, and he was saying that there were times when some players of influence could influence another player being kicked off the squad or being benched on a given day. Are those some of the problems we ought to be addressing when it comes to players?
I think it was Milo himself who, and he raised the issue that whilst in camp, we were doing juju, we were doing black magic against ourselves. I wonder if you remember that, right? It came in a report because, you know, we were after his blood. We, you know, okay, we had gone to the finals or what have you, but we hadn't won it and this and that. And he produced the report, which I know he didn't write for himself. Another coach wrote it for him. But in that report, he said that he had observed that the players were using black magic against themselves to try and get, you know, their colleague injured or not selected or this or that and whatever. I think when I listen to what Osei says, perhaps when I just talk about the salary for the coach, it's a simplistic view because really and truly, the dynamics are many. They are many to really manage. And the politics of it, the selection of the players and all that blends into the politics of the day. Some players are called because of what? Some players used to pay to go into the Black Stars. We all know.
Has that stopped? Has that stopped?
I don't know. I'm not there. You and I are not there. But I'm just saying to you, this time around, the potential exists. And the potential will remain if we use the proper process to select our players. Because I believe Jordan still has a lot to contribute. He wouldn't be the main striker. I'd play him down the flank.
Who would you play as a main striker right before you take a breather? Who would you take as a main striker?
Well, I don't know at the moment. That one there is an enigma because who is the player that's really scoring goals? We've got, if I looked locally, I would say the boy from the Western region, Taylor, because he scored about, 16 goals in so-and-so matches, blah, blah, blah. He's been scoring goals. That's the form, but still, competitively, how long has he been off the game? How long has he been off without a break? So there's a dilemma there. But as I'm saying to you, I would play Jordan on the flanks because I think he's got more current form working well on the flanks than he has working in between the two.
Okay, now, just hold on for me. Take a breather. Let me come to Osei Owusu-Bempah. Now, the conversation is getting heated up. And for those of you calling the WhatsApp line, please don't call it. Send in messages, 0551 575757. If you'd like to chip in, maybe you can call 0302 211 693 extension 4. But for you, Owusu-Bempah, looking at the current team that we have and those that we could bring in, like Bernard Mensah, among others, out of international, resignation, if I may put it that way. If you had the ability to advise on who could play, looking at what you've seen from the Black Stars team, from goalkeeping to the striking department, what advice would you give? What crop of players would you put in there? And do you agree with Nanajaman that the likes of Andre Ayew and Jordan Ayew, based on the lack of gameplay and the lack of real performance, maybe should be starting from the bench? Of the players we have and what is available to Milovan Rajevac and maybe what he should be doing going forward. You have said already that you yourself could coach the Black Stars. Now, let's talk about tactics. We have a number of games coming up, back-to-back with Zimbabwe. We have South Africa to play. We have Ethiopia to play. We've won one, lost the other match to South Africa by a lone goal. It wasn't a hefty defeat, so we can take it that way. What do you think tactically Milovan ought to do in the immediate term, right after he takes, he comes to the helm of affairs at the Black Stars, to ensure that we shape up and are competitive to be able to beat opposition in the next how many matches, or maybe even the rest of them?
Thank you very much. From the tactical point of view, my understanding is that we are asking Milo to work magic when he is not a magician. Performance do not happen on a silver platter. Performance do not happen in a vacuum. You prepare to perform. And if you do not prepare very well, you cannot perform well. And that is
Usman, my sincere apologies. My sincere apologies for interjecting. We have a caller. My apologies for doing this, Usman. Let's just take Morgan from the Central Region. Morgan, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Ben.
Yes, where are you calling from in the central region?
I'm calling from Abroad.
Okay, that's fine. Please make your point. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Ben, I wanted to talk about the GFA leadership. I think they are not helping us much in terms of the Black Stars.
Right.
You know, because they are, I don't think, the inconsistency.
Your call. Rather call 0302 211 693 extension 4. Usman, my sincere apologies for interjecting like that. Please go ahead with the point you were making.
Thank you. Before I proceed, let me correct this impression. It is a choice to decide whether I want to coach Black Stars or not. So please do not let us be thinking that Maxwell Kunedu could not apply for the job. It's a choice. He didn't apply because he don't want it. So please, let's just correct that impression. I know Max is a very good coach, and if he wants, he has the confidence I think every coach should have. If he wants the position or the job, he would go for it. Now, back to your question. I'm saying that you need to prepare to have a result. To me, we spend most of our time talking about the output, but really the output is not the problem. The problem is at the input level. Now, let me give a free consultation to FA, free. Maybe they can bring the bill to you and then we can give it to charity. We are where we are today at the Black Stars level because we failed to plan for the transition that we are going through now. Let me come back again. Now, for example, when Michael Essien, Sule Mutari, Stephen Appiah, Olele were playing very well at their peak, what was our strategy, our exit strategy for them, and then who would take over from them? And that's the problem that we are facing today. If you do a critical situational analysis, the transition was not planned, it happened anyhow, and that's how we are struggling. Now, way forward, we are not having the Somaila, we are not having the Kudus, and we are not planning for their transition as well, for their exit as well. And we would fall back to that problem again. To me, it's not about what players you should call, what players should have a call-up. It's about what is the standard or what is the structure put in place for a call-up.
Okay.
So do we say that?
So I just want us to do this. I want us to talk briefly about the Black Queens as well before we proceed. But I'll give each one of you a last bite on Coach Milovan Rajevac. And that last bite, very briefly, is this. If you could advise Coach Rajevac right now, one bit of advice, what would it be? I'll start with you, Usman Saidu. Briefly on this one.
Well, I would ask him to have a strategy of calling up players, because as for call-ups, trust me, it's subjective. So I don't really want to go into it. If you are given a pen to do a call-up right now, your selections will be different from mine and that of another coach. So that is subjective. However, we should have some form of standard or a strategy that we could say, if you don't have this, you don't have this, and that should be made public for everybody to know. Okay. And I think also that he should also kind of try and work on the psyche and psyche on our players, because I think some of them need a little bit more psychological activities to come out of that box of thinking that Ghana cannot take the World Cup unless we do this, Ghana cannot take the African Cup unless we do. It's not only the players, it's a holistic approach you should have to all the team, including some of the FA officials. To me, I think...
Still calling our other line, the line to call 0302 211 693 extension 4. Nana Agyemang, the same question to you, but again, I would situate it from this standpoint. We're already hearing that some players are being called up, and only God knows who is calling these players up, because Coach Milo hasn't even started, naming his team and all of that. We're hearing all of this information, and who knows what might pan out from what we've heard in the past. What would be your advice to Coach Milovan Rajevac?
I think he's got to take every day a step at a time, to be perfectly honest with you. He knows the psyche of the Ghanaian. He knows our psyche. He knows what we're into. He knows we want the best, but we don't want to pay for it. And he's come in on that train to earn himself some cash. There has to be a selection criteria. Osman won't say it. He's talking about a strategy. But let me tell him that in every club and in every national city, we need to move away from that, because I'm sure that is still happening as it goes right now. Because we've had players who've come and said, I don't know why I've been called up, because I don't deserve to be called up. So got to be moved. I forgot his name. We've got to, it's there. You can look it up. We've got to move away from that era. Virtus International was an agency that was by and large connected with Milovan. And I hope he doesn't come back with that same philosophy now.
Point made on that. Very quickly, I'll say on this very bit, your piece of advice, succinct, to Milovan Rajevac in just about a minute, because I want to reserve the last few minutes for the Black Queens.
I just want to associate myself with all that has been said already. I only want to add that the situation is not hopeless. We've only lost one game away to the group's most competitive opponent, that is South Africa. We have them to play in Ghana. We have Ethiopia to play away, Zimbabwe to play home and out. It is very possible Ghana can qualify. The coach must remain focused. The FA must support as usual. And I'm sure we'll be able to get the results that will qualify Ghana to the next stage of the elimination stage of the World Cup competition. Qualifying from the group should not be a challenge for the Black Stars. I believe very strongly that teams like Zimbabwe and Ethiopia, if we have the focus, can fall.
And the very final question as we wrap, I saved this for last, the Black Queens. We saw them engage in that, tournament in recent times, and the loss to the Bayana, and then finally beating the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon by 2-0. But Mercy Tego has had some harsh words for the GFA and the footballing setup in Ghana. Now, we know that the Black Queens have done well raising high the flag of Ghana, even when the men have failed to do so. But she is saying that we're simply not treating them well. In just about a minute each, I want you to look at the situation. Do you feel Mercy Tego is right, the coach? And what more should we be doing, just as we're doing for the Black Stars? I'll start with you, Osei. All right, so there's a bit of a technical hitch with Osei. Let me come to you, Usman. What would you say, is the truth of the matter? Is Mercy right? What should we be doing?
Yeah, Mercy is absolutely right. She's my colleague. I have a lot of respect for her. Maybe we should also be getting a foreign coach for the Black Queens.
Really?
That's when we could say that they are being treated like the Black Stars, because it's always about foreign coach at the Black Star level. However, I think she has a great point. I was there at Pram Pram when they were renewing our license A. Coaching by that Pram Pram when they left. It was really nothing to talk about comparing to the Black Stars. I think we should really do something about it, because they can equally give us whatever the Black Stars can give us. Talk about publicity, talk about getting some income in the country. Really, we should really put an eye there and then improve on our commitment to the Black Queens.
Thank you so much. Nanajaman, you would have the final bite. The Black Queens.
I would say, thanks, Ben. Look, don't describe what Mercy has said as harsh, because when you do that, you throw away the whole meaning of and everything of what she's expressing, because you know how we are when we say something's harsh. Look, the fact of the matter is she's speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. Look, they go on camp in Pram Pram, which is a rubbish place to be. And when the Black Stars come, they go on, which hotel do they stay in? Where do they train? They don't go to Pram Pram. But Pram Pram is supposed to be our center of excellence and blah, blah, blah. It's not. Why do we send our Black Queens there and send our Black Stars somewhere else? So she's absolutely right. It's all about preparation, as Osman said earlier on. The preparation is insignificant, and the money that we put in to the Black Queens is insignificant. We're throwing 25 million away with the Black Stars. And what is it we give into the Black Queens? They can hardly get money to go home after camping at Pram Pram from the GFA. Look, get real. She's telling the truth and nothing but the truth. If we really want the Black Queens to deliver, invest in them, invest time, invest money. Give them the same that you give to the Black Stars, the same attention that you give to the Black Stars, and assist them and support them, and they will deliver.
Thank you, Nana Agyemang. We have Osei Owusu Bempah back, so I'll give you your minute so we wrap on this conversation. Osei Owusu Bempah, great. So we have you now. The Black Queens, in just under a minute, is Mercy Tego right? What should we be doing? Can you please unmute for us, Mr. Bempah? It appears we've lost him again. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Nana Agyemang, UEFA License B coach. Maybe you should be considering the Black Stars job next. Nana, what do you think? Yes or no? Just yes or no? Do we have Nana Agyemang? Anyway, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Nana Agyemang, UEFA License B coach, sports analyst. We also had Usman Saidu, Vice President of the Greater Accra Coaches Association. Thank you. And Osei Owusu Bempah as well, a sports journalist and analyst. Nana, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, I just wanted a yes or no answer to that. With your UEFA License B coach, would you ever consider coaching the Black Stars?
I'm not qualified enough. I'm not qualified enough. You need a license or a pro license to coach the Ghana Black Stars.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's a wrap on this conversation. Now, coming up next, we'll be bringing you, I'll do a birthday wish before I get to that, but we'll be bringing you Mr. Tajwa. He's here with his red, or is it pink colored hair? I love this guy. Busum Piyang is up next on Prime Morning. But right before that, happy birthday to the most wonderful man in the world, Mr. Osei Sapong. Is from your daughter, your first daughter, Mami Ya Sapong. May God continue to protect you. Today's your day, Mr. Osei Sapong. Have a good one. We'll be right back on Prime Morning with all the entertainment action as we host Busum Piyang. Do stay.